Most of those who follow this topic are familiar with the prophecy of Rabbi Yitzhak Kaduri and Rabbi Sasson Hai Shoshani. The prophecy says that the Messiah will appear on the Sabbath after the period when the two Benjamins will not be able to form a government in the current state of Israel. That period officially ended on December 29, when Benjamin Netanyahu's government was officially sworn in, that is, when one of the two Benjamins, spoken of in the prophecy, managed to form a government. This means that the time period in which that Sabbath is chronologically possible, on which, according to the prophecy, the Messiah will appear, began to flow after December 29, that is, from December 30th, 2022. As far as we know, Shoshani was not a Christian, but Kaduri was. So that prophecy of two rabbis, one anti-Christian and the other Christian, can refer to the coming of both Christ and the Antichrist, because the Apostle Paul says that the appearance of the man of lawlessness, the Antichrist, should precede by the departure, that is, the appearance of Christ for the rapture of the church. So, now after December 29, 2022, we have before us two Sabbaths, one biblical and one unbiblical, one true and one false, just as we have two appearances of two Messiahs, one true and one false, Christ and Antichrist. The first biblical Sabbath after December 29, when one of the two Benjamins managed to form the government, is the 22nd day of the 10th biblical month of Tevet, that is Thursday, January 5th, and the first non-biblical Sabbath after December 29 is the day of Saturn, January 7th. More about what is a true biblical Sabbath and what is a false Sabbath in the link below the video. Therefore, we believe that the first following day that fulfills the condition of being the day of the coming of Christ for the rapture of the church can only be a true Sabbath, the 22nd day of the 10th month of Tevet, that is Thursday, the day of Jupiter, January 5th, 2023, or more precisely the night between January 5th and January 6th, Jerusalem time, and not a false Sabbath, Saturday, January 7th. Our belief is supported by the fact that the day of the false Sabbath, January 7th, Saturday, is also the day of the full moon. We believe that Christ cannot come on the day of the full moon, but only the Antichrist, which in this particular case means that Christ can come only before January 7th and not on Saturday, January 7th. According to the Bible, the full moon is the ruler of the night, that is, the ruler of darkness, that symbolizes sin, evil, and death, which is why the full moon in the Holy Scriptures is a symbol of the devil, Satan. Since January 7th, Saturday, is the day that false Jews consider to be God's Sabbath, it is also the day of the full moon. That is another reason why we believe that the coming of Christ cannot happen on that day, on the day with the symbolism of the devil and Satan. In the King James translation of the Proverbs of Solomon 7:20, it is said, "He hath taken a bag of money with him, and will come home at the day appointed." Some other translations phrase "at the day appointed" translate as "at the full moon." However, the original word kese or kesech does not mean full moon but new month. So not a new moon in the sense of the moon as an astronomical object with its phases, conjunction, first crescent, or full moon, but in the sense of the first day of a 30-day calendar month. We see this on the basis of the only place where the word kese or kesech still appears in the Holy Scriptures, which is the third verse of the 81st Psalm of David, where 70 selected Judean translators translated the word into Greek as neominia and not as neoselini. Therefore, the translators of the Septuagint used the Greek word mini, which refers to the calendar month of 30 days, and not the Greek word selini, which refers to the moon as an astronomical body with its changing phases, conjunction, first crescent, full moon, etc. Therefore, the appointed time in which Christ will come, and which is spoken of in the Proverbs of Solomon 7:20, according to the King James translation, cannot possibly be the day of the full moon, because, firstly, the word kesech does not refer to the full moon, and secondly, the full moon itself is a symbol of spiritual impurity, sin, evil, death, Satan, and the Antichrist, and not a symbol of the spiritual purity, goodness, God, and Christ, which we talked about in the previous video. Therefore, the first following day on which we believe that the second coming of Christ for the rapture of the Church is possible is the night between January 5th and January 6th, 2023. After that day, the next possible day would be the last biblical Sabbath in the 10th month of Tevet, January 12th, 2023, more precisely the night between January 12th and January 13th, Jerusalem time. And after that day, as the next possible date of the rapture, would be the first day of 11th biblical month of Shevat, January 14th, 2023, or more precisely the night between January 14th and January 15th, Jerusalem time.